So welcome to this video. So this video is going to go over exactly how you can make your first $10,000 online, just like I have, with the best business model that I've come across with no risk whatsoever. And this is something that not only is going to give you the best results, but it's also something that compounds over time, which is very, very key, because if something fails within the business, if you lose everything, you still are left with something that you can leverage for the future. So I'm going to go right over to my computer here and just go through everything. And this is going to be kind of my story of how I was able to make a full-time living online, dropping out of high school, all of that. I'm going to give you the full breakdown. I'm not going to hide anything. And hopefully it's going to give you some nuggets of what you can do if you also feel like that you're stuck and you're frustrated and you don't want to go through the regular 9-to-5 kind of hustle and want to build up your own kind of income through something that you're really proud of. So let's get right into it. So as you can tell, the first kind of pillar that I went through is the skill of music production. You know, I was very just interested in music. I was always kind of looking at rappers and beats and production, and taught the skill of producing beats by myself through the internet. So this gave me kind of a skill, right? It was music production, and I was selling beats online. I was going to my local rappers, you know, through word of mouth. They knew of me, and I sold, you know, beats, right? I was making music. And this is kind of the key thing, you know, like if I could go back and just realize that if you have a skill and you know how to get attention online, you can make, honestly, I could have made this into a huge business if I would have known the things that I would have known now. So anyway, let's continue. So if I kind of zoom out slightly here, so basically I sold some t-shirts, right? There was basically some events that we had going on in school, and I made some t-shirts for them, sold some t-shirts, wasn't really much, but the main driver was beats. And I sold that in high school, and I made around $500. Now, this doesn't sound like a lot, but for someone in high school that was just making something in their bedroom and then able to sell it for a few $100s for, you know, to people, to friends, to rappers, giving them out for free, whatever, I really felt good about myself that I was producing something that people were, you know, thought was valuable. So anyway, that's kind of the first touch point. And if you maybe have a skill and you're really good at, better than everyone else, and that you just do it in your free time and you love it, that's something that you can monetize. So yeah, this is what I did. And then through getting introduced to entrepreneurship, through, you know, YouTube, whatever, I started dropshipping, and it failed, right? I didn't really get any success with it, and that was simply because I was just doing it purely for the money. You know, like when I started learning about it, it was interesting, but when it actually got to doing the thing, I'm like, crap, I don't want to sell like a teddy bear right now to a bunch of kids and make a bunch of money. It just doesn't feel good in my heart. And I know for some people, they're like, I just want the money, it doesn't matter. People are going to see right through you, and you're not going to have the consistency to continue with that for a long enough period of time. So basically it failed, right? It just didn't do well. And the next point was I started a clothing brand. I was really interested in clothing, and, you know, if you're really interested on the designs and things that I did, just comment below, and maybe for the next video I'll kind of pull up some of the designs and stuff. But the funny thing is, I made maybe like a few $100s through the actual clothing, right? I printed t-shirts, hoodies, I even embroidered some pants, and I made around a few $100s. But what was funny was through the clothing itself, there wasn't any demand, right? You kind of make your own demand for clothing brands, right? You just post cool content and then see if people might want to buy the clothes as well. But the funny thing that I did is I was just because I didn't have enough content to constantly post on the Instagram to grow kind of the clothing brand, I was just designing kind of graphics and just posting them, like cool graphics, whatever I loved that I took off Pinterest and redesigned. I just kind of posted a bunch of graphics on there. And the funny thing is people weren't reaching out to me to buy my clothing, but they were reaching out to me for me to do graphic designs for their clothing brand and for their kind of music, some cover arts and some clothing designs and some photo edits. So I made around $1,000 to $2,000 around just from posting on this clothing brand and people reaching out to me to buy my services for graphic design. And that was kind of my first touch point where I realized I can do what I really enjoy, and people reach out to me to work with me to kind of do graphic design for them. And it worked really, really well. The only problem is that it wasn't a lot of money, right? It took me a long time and it was just kind of a hobby, and it wasn't kind of enough to make a full-time income because I just didn't know how to leverage all parts of marketing and sales and the internet to really make it a full-time thing. I just didn't have the full skill set. And then, this is kind of a big one, right? I was starting this clothing brand in high school. I went to fashion school because I wanted to continue growing this clothing brand. But what I noticed was the people that were teaching me inside of the school actually had failed brands themselves, because one of my professors had a pattern kind of business and it just never worked out. It never kind of paid off. And she was teaching us on how to kind of, grow our stuff, or some of us wanted to have brands, but for the most part, we were just being taught on how to get integrated into big companies and just follow a script and make the clothes by the patterns and all that. So it wasn't actually teaching me anything about entrepreneurship, but just generally how to become a worker. And I actually spent pretty much 2.5 years or maybe 3 years at this fashion school. I think 2.5 years, because I started with fashion business and then I went to fashion design because I didn't like the business because it wasn't teaching anything. And I went to fully fashion design, and at some point I just couldn't take it and I dropped out. And at this point, when I dropped out, it was January 2023. So it was a little over a year ago. And I had no idea what I was going to do. The one thing, though, in the meantime of me being in fashion school, I was researching a bit into entrepreneurship and taking little courses, understanding things, copywriting, but never really started anything. So basically, I wanted to make money online. I just saw that the future of my life continuing in this path wasn't going to end up well, so I went this path, right? And basically, I bought a bunch of programs, and in one of the programs, it was basically, I went through a bunch of programs. Some of them were like, hey, this is how you create an agency. This is how you, make Facebook ads for dentists. You do this, you do a bunch of outreach, and it just wasn't working for me. I was doing email outreach, it just wasn't working. Also to e-commerce brands, there was just so much competition and it just wasn't working, until eventually I bought a course on how to scale your agency through Upwork. Now, Upwork is just like a freelancing platform, and I managed to get to $3,000 a month using the system where I would just make a really good profile on Upwork and reach out and do warm outreach, because the people on Upwork are basically asking for something and you just have to kind of send your portfolio. And honestly, there wasn't much competition at the time, a year ago, because most of them were, the people that were applying were from third world countries. And for me, just from really good profile, great responses, and really personalized stuff, I was able to get a decent amount of clients and get to $3,000 a month. Now, the only thing that I had a problem with is that I was very lost. I was picking random freelance jobs. I didn't know what to focus on. I was just doing social media management and stuff like that. And I had no idea where I was going to go. I was really lost. I just was kind of overloaded with work as well, even though only making $3,000 a month. So I needed to find kind of a system that was already working really, really well for others and really dial in on the service delivery. So that's exactly what I did. So I invested in a program for $5,000. And this program, it gave me the knowledge on a really great service on scaling personal brands, digital products, just coaching, right? Basically just growing personal brands in a predictable way in order to close clients for the personal brands, digital products, so on. And this scaled me to consistent $5,000 months, knowing that I've got a great service, it works, and I'm getting results. Okay, so where am I at now within my journey? So my journey now is basically building my personal brand, because in my opinion, the best way to make money online is to start a service-based business, simply because there's no upfront costs. You just have to do outreach, and you have to, you can start it using the Upwork system as well. But basically, you just have to have a skill, whether that's content creation, social media management, whatever. Sell it to businesses that really need your service, and build a personal brand at the same time in order to not only better your outreach, but also just build something long-term for yourself. Because the truth is, at some point, clients are going to leave you. At some point, there's going to be new things in the industry and other people will take over. So having a personal brand is going to build so much leverage over time. So that's what I'm on right now. And the reason I made this video is to kind of give you not only an overview of all my failures of how to get here, but also to realize that if you have these skills that I have here at the end, every single business that I started prior would probably have worked out. When I started my clothing brand, I could have built a personal brand first, built up some trust, and then sold the clothing. When starting, beats, I could have built a personal brand around content, around beat production, and maybe even sold a program on how other people can start a music production business. So there was lots of opportunities along the way, but I simply wasn't aware of them because I didn't have the skills I have now. So this is kind of a framework of my failures, as mentioned, and this is also something that you can take into account if you want to kind of grow and make money online. So what is my goal of Current? My goal of Current is not only to deliver great results for my clients and the people I'm helping, but also to educate others to give the same awakening that I have to become creators through the Creator Project. So I'm going to be creating content here on YouTube and through my social media like Instagram, TikTok, whatever, in order to inspire people to go through kind of this same transformation quicker, not go through as many failures, and also realize that now is the best time to start a personal brand. Whether you're a coach, whether you're just a creator, someone wants to monetize, now is the best time. So basically, I hope this gave you a good kind of insight of my story. I hope this gave you a good insight of how you can take advantage of this. And if you want any new topics or anything that interests you, please comment below and I'll make a video about it. Also, if you want help to grow your personal brand and monetize it way quicker than I have, feel free to kind of book a call with me below and become a creator. Other than that, have a wonderful rest of your day and peace.